Have you ever been faced with a decision that was just so difficult, so morally complicated, that you felt totally and completely stuck? It happens to all of us, right? Especially when other people's well-being is on the line. But what if there was a structured way to find real clarity in those moments? Well, let's dive into that. So, our source material kicks off with this really powerful scenario. Picture a healthcare professional who is just plagued by doubt. He's part of these procedures, and he's not sure if they're morally right. He says he feels, and I'm quoting here, troubled with the thought that he might be continuously performing acts of injustice towards the patients. Wow. I mean, that's not just some academic puzzle. That is a heavy, heavy emotional burden to carry around. And this leads us to the absolute core question from our source. What should he do to minimize dilemmas and perplexities in making professional decisions? How does he get out of this state of confusion? That's really the problem we're going to try and solve today, finding a clear way through that moral fog. Because when you're facing that kind of deep uncertainty, what you're really searching for is a clear path forward. You're looking for a method, a kind of map, something that can guide your choices and, this is just as important, bring you some peace of mind. And the good news? That path actually exists. And that path is guided by this powerful principle known as the well-formed conscience. Now, this isn't just a vague idea. It's designed to be a really reliable guide for making those tough moral decisions. Okay, so what exactly is it? A well-formed conscience is not just a gut feeling or some vague instinct. It is a principle that guides professionals to make good moral decisions through a very structured process: examination, judgment, action, and responsibility. It's a tool you can use to actively build moral clarity, not just kind of hope it shows up. So, how do we make this principle something we can actually use in the real world? Well, it breaks down into a super practical 5-step framework. This is where we put the whole idea into practice. All right, here's the framework, the roadmap. It's a really clear, logical progression. First up, step 1, you examine all the facts of the situation. Then, step 2, you examine the ethical principles that apply. Step 3, you make a judgment of conscience. Step 4, you act on that judgment. And finally, and this is crucial, step 5, you accept responsibility for the consequences. Now, when you look at that list, you might be thinking, okay, step 1 is about getting the facts straight, and steps 3, 4, and 5 are about my own personal integrity. But what about step 2? How do you properly examine the ethical principles that apply? Honestly, that can be the trickiest part of the whole thing. And this is where a specific field of study comes to the rescue: bioethics. Bioethics is the study that provides the exact framework for ethical decision-making in healthcare. It helps professionals examine the principles relevant to a case. It gives them the tools and the language to analyze these super complex situations and really nail that crucial second step. So, what's the end result of all this work? Well, by following this framework, our troubled healthcare professional doesn't just make a better, more informed decision. He gets something incredibly personal out of it: peace of mind. And that really is the whole point of having a clear conscience. And this is so important. The benefits are huge. Using the principle of a well-formed conscience eases one's burden and gives peace of mind. That directly tackles that anxiety we started with. It also facilitates difficult decisions, helps make sure patients are treated justly, and, at the end of the day, it provides that clear path we were all looking for. This whole process was developed for the high-stakes world of medicine, but its wisdom is absolutely universal. Which brings me to a final thought for you. This 5-step framework, examining facts, applying principles, making a judgment, acting, and then taking responsibility, where else in your life could this be applied?